Good evening, my name is Jack Diabon. This is the Town of Weare Zoning Board of Adjustments meeting, April 4th, 2023, 7:30, public hearing. Excuse me. Tonight we have 3 cases scheduled and a request for an extension. 3 cases are case number 06-2023, Raymond McMahon. What's MRB stand for? Oh, that's your Rehab and LLC owner, 11 Apple Way, tax map 411-128. Case, hi Mark. Case number 07-2023, Michael Benson, applicant owner, 37 Beaver Pond Road, tax map 411-025, it's a variance. And the final case for this evening is case 08-2023, Susan Halley and Glenn Hurlbut, applicants and owners, and that's on Branch Road, tax map 106-009. So, this evening. So, before we go too much further, we need to elect officers for this particular year coming up, so. Any nominations?
I'll nominate Jack Dearborn for chairman.
I'll second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I guess it's 5-0.
Aye, yeah.
Or maybe 4-0. Chairman, vice chair, motion,
Nominate Mike.
second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's 4-0. Thank you. Let me explain how we do the variances, because all 3 of these have a variance. Some have special exceptions, portion, but particularly on a variance, we will take each case individually. I will ask for a motion to accept the application for the case. And the purpose of that is to make sure we have enough information to go forward with the case. If we feel it's not, we cite why and ask either reject the case outright or extend it for the next meeting until the applicant come in with more information, should they need it. Once we have a motion, a second, and discussion, then is a vote of at least 3 yeses to move forwards. Once that's done, I will then open up the case, public meeting, and then what I will do is I will ask the applicant to please come forwards to the microphone, and I will generally ask for, just give us a general overview of what you want to do while you're here, and then we'll get into the actual application. Then I would ask the applicant to go to in the case of a variance, the 5 points of hardship. I'd ask them to read the variance bolded text on the question. Purpose of that is, not everybody in the room who may be interested in this case has any idea what's going on, because they don't have a copy in front of them, and most people at home wouldn't either. So this gives everybody an opportunity to hear the question, and I'll ask for the applicant to read the written part that they wrote as their testimony. Once we're done with that, we'll go to 2, 3, 4, 5. And after we're all done with that, I'll ask the board if they have any further questions of the applicant. If there's none, then I would ask the applicant to please sit down, and then I will ask for approving abutters. If anybody wishes to speak as an approving abutter, they can come up, state their name and address, where they are, and say what they wish on the case. Once we've gone through all the people who wish to be recognized as approving abutters, we'll move on to disapproving abutters. The same thing, get up to the podium, name and address. We'll exhaust all who are here for that. After that, I ask for other boards in the town that wish to speak, or public at large members that wish to speak. Once that's done, and I will ask the applicant if they wish to rebut anything, add something they may have forgot, so everybody gets 2 shots. then I'll go and ask for approving of butters again, disapproving public at large, other boards. Once that's done, I'll ask the board if they wish to say anything, any questions. Once that's finished, I will shut down the public meeting, which means only the board at this point speaks on this. Basically, what we do is we'll deliberate in the form of, I'll ask for a motion on the first prong, there's 5 prongs to a variance. I ask for a motion, hopefully I get a second. If I get 3, discussion, and we have 3 yeses, at least 3 yeses, we have 5 tonight. Should we have 4 or 3, it just gets harder to get 3. So tonight we have 5 members. I'm thankful for people able to make it. Once we've made a motion, second, discussion, and voted, we will move on to the next question. There's 5. So once we go through this, all five questions have been voted on. You need to get 3 yeses on each question. It doesn't have to be the same people voting. It's hypothetically, you could have different people voting for different yeses or nos. But you need to have 3. If you don't, 1 strike, you're out. That's the issue. The problem with the variance is you technically cannot come back. You could request to come back, but if we deem that this is not materially different, we will reject your application. The reason for that is because this isn't a repetitive thing we do. You've got 1 shot. If you don't like the answer from the zoning board or a person who is in a butter or whatever, they can ask for a rehearing. That have to be, we would have to weigh on the issue of significant information to warrant a rehearing. If we turn it down, if people still don't like what we did, either yes or no, you can go to Superior Court. And then ultimately, if you don't like that, you can go to New Hampshire Supreme Court. So, with that said, tonight we have 5 members here, so all the 5 members, at this point I'll ask Mark to introduce
Mark
yourself.
Moretti, member.
Thank you.
Barbara Jo Plamondon, member.
Michael Meyer, member.
Malcolm Wright, member.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. We have Raymond McMahon, MBR Rehab and Development. This is an application, the length of the property on the front is 315, sides 155, rear 302. Single-family home with ADU already constructed. Space was constructed to an ADU by previous owner without application. So, there is a variance included, and I'm suspecting that's for the exceeding the 750 square feet. No?
His is only
Not this
480.
one.
Is what?
His is only 480 square feet, 20 by 24.
So what's the variance for?
Well, that was the application that I was given.
Oh,
This,
I listed it as special exception.
this one has
but
both, but this one only has.
am I reading this one? I got a variance in this one. I mean, it's
the
06,
variance part that's filled out.
pardon?
The variance part is filled out.
Oh, so maybe we don't need it?
You don't need it for 480.
Oh, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
But he
Okay,
also filled out the equitable waiver.
okay, we'll determine that when we get into this.
Right.
Okay, there is an equitable waiver filled out.
Special exception, right?
But there's no special exception.
On special exceptions. Is it right in front of the variance?
No, but it's blank.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So, just so we're complete, there's a butters list, there's the property card, there's the deed. There is still a deed. And it's Apple Way, it's, yeah, it's 1.33 acres. Okay, before we accept this application, let me ask the applicant to come forward, please. We try to figure this out.
My name's Brandon McMahon from MDI Rehab and
So
Development.
why do you think you need a variance?
Well, I was told I needed one when I came to the building department. They
Okay,
said
but you
because
know
it was,
why?
well, because it was built back around 15 years ago. Built it as an addition, but converted it to a ADU unit.
Well, the only reason you would need it is if you violated one of the conditions of a special exception. Special exception you get by right if you meet
Yeah,
the text of the zoning, and
Right.
if you look up 19:1, 1 through 7, it specifically states what the ADU must have
right,
to be compliant. Do you know if you meet all those?
I do.
Okay, second problem is, you asked for an equitable waiver.
It's covered on a basis.
Yeah, well, this is the paperwork I was given by the plan, I've done these before in other towns, and this is the paperwork that I was given by the building
Well,
department.
I believe that.
And so we filled it out the best we could.
Okay.
Some of the questions were redundant,
Yeah.
but they were answered anyways.
Well, what you didn't do is fill out the,
It's
Special.
signed.
but it's
special
signed, but there's no information there. So,
Put the answer now.
That's, yeah.
well, I guess we could do that. This is a little
Right.
backwards.
Ray, you have the,
Do you have these, do you have the 7 points? If you had completely filled them all out, we won't have a problem. We may have, before we go there, so we're gonna proceed. So at this point, we're gonna vote to accept the application. You can stay right there. Is a motion to accept?
Move to accept.
Second? Anybody have any issues going forward with this?
Just the witness's testimony will be added as
Okay.
the text for the,
Yeah,
application.
all the
Okay.
neighbors have been notified, and, yeah.
Well, there lies the problem. What's the notice say?
special exception,
Yeah, that's what I'm,
special exception 19-110.
Got one thing right.
so that's, yeah, that's why,
Not really a question.
Okay. This sounds like really fussy stuff, but I failed to mention, this is actually a land use court, quasi judicial. We gotta act like we're judges, if you will. And people have due process and rights of due process. We need to make sure whether it's the applicant or abutters. So we gotta make sure that somebody doesn't get their nose out of joint, which could be for good reason, and take us to court. And then we waste a whole bunch of time. So, all in favor?
aye.
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 5-0. We should do that by mark. We should do it by name because the state law says we need to do it if we do it
Oh.
individually.
Mark
Name,
Moretti, aye.
Bobby?
Aye.
Jack, aye?
Mike Meyer, aye.
Malcolm Wright, aye.
Thank you. Okay. Now, let's do a little bit of homework here. In order to complete this, did you get the list? You got the list right here, right?
Yep.
So, number one, you can read the question and give us your answer.
It's located at 11 Appleway, and it was an existing property. It
What
does,
I want you to do is read the question one
okay,
and give
specific,
us your answer.
Under special exception.
yeah, specific site of appropriate location for such use terms overall community development. Used for an ADU unit. with, at the location of 11 Apple Way.
Okay. Number 2, please.
Proposed use will be not adversely affect the neighborhood and shall produce significant reduction of real estate values in the neighborhood area. It doesn't change the house at all. The house is already existing. It's looks like it's similar to all the houses in the neighborhood, and it wouldn't detract from the neighborhood at all.
Okay.
Very good.
Number 3, please.
The proposed use will not be a nuisance, serious hazard, vehicular traffic, pedestrians. It won't change the traffic. It's been used as a ADU unit for the last 15 years. It just wasn't a legal one. So it's not gonna change the effects of the road traffic or anything. There was someone living there when I purchased it. Now we emptied the house, it's vacant. But we bought it with the reason, the purpose of the ADU unit, which was on the town books. It just wasn't, it hadn't been accepted. I guess when it was built as an addition, not as an ADU unit. It was converted after the addition was built.
Very good.
Okay. 5.
Oh, number
Four.
4.
4,
Or
I'm
the
sorry.
proposed use will not cause an undue burden to the town through previous basic town services. Like I say, it's not gonna change that at all because it's not gonna be added. We're not gonna add people or lesser people. It's gonna stay the same.
Okay.
Very good.
Adequate off-street parking be provided to determine necessary by the zoning board of adjustment. It has plenty of parking of its own. It has driveway parking, so it wouldn't be used any street parking.
Is this already occupied today?
No, it's empty,
Okay.
yeah. No, we bought it, it was a foreclosure, and
6,
Personnel.
please.
Real quick, how many parking spots do you have in the driveway?
it's a horseshoe driveway which holds it could probably hold a half a dozen cars.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
A buffer may be required to screen the neighboring use for the proposed use. Buffers may be fenced, screens, dense plantings, situated trees, or shrubbery, natural occurring shrubs and trees. It's all grown in where you actually have to remove some just to see the house.
Okay. And number 7 is sort of our business.
Zoning Board of Adjustment granting the special exception to include such restrictions or conditions to ensure compliance with this section.
Okay, would you come up here, please? We'd like to ask you some questions on your property. This is additional special exception requirements for ADUs. What's the first one?
So clearly incidental to the property use of the property for a single dwelling such as accessory living space not to exceed 750 feet and not to contain more than 2 bedrooms with a maximum occupancy per bedroom of 2, not more than 2 persons per bedroom.
That's 19.1.10.1,
Okay,
okay?
we're good there. An accessory dwelling unit shall either be constructed within or attached to the single dwelling.
Is that the case?
It
Thank
is.
you.
At least one interior connecting door or other access for persons to pass between.
So, you didn't have a diagram of this, did you? So, is an extra room attached to the,
It looks like it's a cape, the original house was a cape with a breezeway, and where the garage would have been is
Is
the
the
ADU.
extent.
okay, okay,
So the layout's as a garage,
It looks good, if you
man
had
door,
doors on it,
yeah.
it would have been a garage.
sure,
okay.
yeah.
Next,
Septic system design capacity shall be approved by the New Hampshire Department of Environment Services.
New septic system is being installed as we speak.
okay.
Okay. No new entrance or exit to the accessory dwelling unit shall be constructed facing the front of the single-family dwelling.
Yeah.
How do you get into your ADU?
You get in where the breezeway would be, you go in the breezeway, left goes in the house, right goes in the ADU unit.
I see.
Yeah.
Very good. 2 parking spaces shall be provided for the accessory dwelling unit. No new curb cut from the street will be constructed. You already covered that. Exterior construction and materials shall be uniform with the single dwelling. You don't plan any, no changes to the existing house. And either the accessory dwelling unit or principal dwelling shall be the principal residence and legal domicile of the owner of the property, which is you and,
We will be selling the property with those conditions.
okay.
Yep. Okay. Have a seat, please. Any questions of the board before we ask the gentleman? Everybody else set?
That's it.
Approving of butters wish to speak? I see none. Disapproving of butters wish to speak? I see none. Of the boards, public at large, I see none. Would you like to say anything additional?
Rebut.
Go again. Approving of butters, disapproving of butters, public at large, other boards, I see none. At this point, with no questions from the board of the applicant, we'll shut down the public meeting at, I don't know what that is.
52.
Thank you. 7:52. Okay. This requires just one vote, up and down. Could I have a motion to accept, motion to approve case 06-2023? And the reason we make it for approve, because yes means yes, no means no. People can't get confused.
We got discussion on this?
Do you have,
Yeah, I wanted to,
Get a second?
he's got a discussion. He wants to.
I just wanted to make sure
Do
that
we make,
before the,
is a motion made in a second? Let's do that.
I was asking if we're gonna have discussion.
Well,
He
as
wants-
soon
he
as-
wants a motion. Move to accept case 06-2023 with no additional requirements.
I'll second.
Discussion.
That's why I hesitated, because I don't know how we're gonna leave it. It makes perfect sense, but I would wanna make sure that in the special exception, we have wording that states that the owner will meet all of the provisions of the special exception section of our ordinance. I think that should be.
Are you
part of
concerned
that.
about future owners? Because we don't typically do that when it's always possible that someone could sell. and-
So I understand what you're saying.
I'm talking about, we're granting a special exception, we wanna make sure that the provisions of the ordinance are going to be met. Now, he said once that everything was fine, we wanna make sure that's the case.
What do you mean? I mean, I don't,
Just.
you
when
want
he goes-
additional
When he goes
verification?
to finish this up, he's gonna go, the building inspector's gonna check it, make sure everything's done.
Well, if he has an ADU, he's gonna have to be inspected to an ADU.
Exactly.
So I don't have.
Yeah, and so if the house gets sold, it has to meet the standards as
Right.
well.
And nothing's changing. It's already in place.
I see what you're saying, though.
Yeah, I feel as maybe I'm being redundant, but I wanted to make sure, that's all. Because we're granting a special exception, we wanna make sure that the provisions are met. And what you're telling me, and I understand that the building inspector's gonna make sure of that anyway. So that's good, I'm fine.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Okay,
It seems like by moving forward for this, it's the right way to go about it. And it's nice for the town that it's been done right now, so.
unfortunately, this was done sort of extraordinary outside of the
Right,
zoning.
yeah, and so
But no one
thankfully,
come
it's in
forward.
this situation, so.
No fault of the applicant.
No. Any other discussion? Mark?
Aye.
Bobby?
Aye.
Jack, aye.
Mike, aye.
Malcolm, aye.
Thank you. 5-0. Okay. See how we do on the next one. This is case 07-2023. There's a list of this is Michael J. Benson, 37 Beaver Road, Weare, New Hampshire. Owner of the same, 411-2025-0, residential zone. He's requesting a variance because the apartment is more than 750 feet. The kitchen was added to the apartment. Let's see here. A special exception, which is required. And there's a variance for the size, it appears. Signed, butters. A deed. A property card, and sort of a layout. Let's, motion to accept the application.
Move to accept.
Thank you,
I'll second.
thank you. All those in favor?
Question.
Yes.
Just something I read in the application for the variance, and this may be better discussed once it's open, but, house was built in 1988, pre-zoning. When we grant an ADU special exception, we're basically saying this applies because zoning says it has to apply.
Today.
If this is pre-zone, if this ADU existed pre-zoning, is this required?
It's not
Well, then
existed before.
anybody
Has
could
it
say
existed
that.
bef- Let's
Well-
ask the question, who's the applicant? Jump up to your microphone, please. So, there is no existing ADU today, is there not?
Correct. Not to my
But
knowledge.
there's been some finishing off in the bedroom, I mean, the below level, right?
When I looked at the house, everything was already set up downstairs.
Okay, that's, so he's asking for an ADU today for an area that has already been somewhat built out. And if I read this correctly, the size that's already built out that doesn't have a, quote, kitchen in it is more than 750. That's the reason for the variance, am I correct?
But the extra kitchen, which makes it an ADU.
He wants to put that in, that's why it becomes an ADU.
Did I okay, I misunderstood.
So, yeah, right, so now it'll be recognized
There's no kitchen today.
if it passes.
Is that true?
There is.
Now, Sella?
Yes.
He, I helped Mike get through this process, Jack and I talked. So, he got his permit to put the kitchen in, and he's just trying to make it compliant so
Right.
in the future.
Okay.
So the building department
Got
gave the kitchen permit, the plumbing permit, and he's just trying to make it compliant so when he sells it, down the road, whenever.
Yep,
Okay, that's
So
good.
That's all we're just doing.
We understand.
Okay, I understand now. That helps.
So, we are approving the variance request on this one, right?
The application, yeah.
This application this piece is for, this discussion right now is for the variance. And then there's a special exception after this? Right, okay. So,
move to accept
thank you
case 07-2023
for the variance,
for the variance end of it, yeah.
Second.
okay?
Yeah, I thought we already did that.
I interrupted. I interrupted.
Oh, we
I
did
confused
it.
One way or
things.
the other.
It's fine.
Yeah, we're good.
We're gonna do the next one after this.
Yep.
All right,
Vote?
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Aye.
So we're 5-0.
Sorry for the confusion.
No, I just want to make sure I've got it correct. All righty. Applicant standing. Why don't you, we're doing the variance first, because that's one that has to be done, or we can't do the special exception. So, for the variance, would you read, you have a copy of this? Would you read the bolded on the first question, and then your answer in the box that you supplied?
Application for variance, you mean?
Yes.
The undersigned hereby requests a variance of the terms of Article 19.
First question,
Okay.
Down here in the middle,
bolded,
this is the variance world.
halfway down.
Oh, okay, sorry. The variance will not be contrary to the public interest because the proposed use must not conflict with the purpose of the ordinance and that it must not alter the essential character of the neighborhood, threatening public health, safety, or welfare, or otherwise injure public rights. The house was built in 1988 with a finished basement. Adding a kitchen would allow my adult daughter to be able to live in her own space. It will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood, as the outside is not changing. Adding the kitchen is not a threat to public health, safety, or welfare.
Okay, number 2, please. Just read the bolded part of 2. Question 2.
Please describe how the spirit of the ordinance is observed. The ordinance allows 750 square feet to be used for an in-law apartment. The purpose is to allow family members the ability to live together but have their own space. My daughter would be living in the basement as she does now, but would be on her own. The installation of a kitchen is needed.
Number 3, please.
Please describe how substantial justice is done. Substantial justice would be done to allow an adult child to live on her own, but in her father's house. The benefit to applicant would be to allow others to be in the home in case of an emergency. The cost of homes today have young adult children not being able to be out on their own. There is no harm to the general public in having family members reside together. It is a benefit to the family.
3, please. 4, please.
Please describe how the values of surrounding properties are not diminished. There would be no surrounding properties diminished as nothing outside of the house is changing. The same number of vehicles will be parked at the home. The number of occupants will not change. There will be no evidence that any change will be made. A plumbing permit was applied for, approved, and the work is completed for the kitchen.
Number 5, please.
Literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship. Literal enforcement of the ordinance would not allow an adult child to be able to live independently at home. The price of homes have made it difficult for young adults to live away from home. This will allow the adult child separate living, but at the same time being there in case of a family emergency. All other sections of the in-law regulations are compliant except for the size, which was pre-existing and constructed when the house was in 1988.
Very good. Could you read I's, the owing to the special, that statement up there, which is the question?
Owing to the special conditions identified above, please indicate how no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purpose of the ordinance and the specific application of the provision to the property. The special conditions of this property is that the house was built in 1988 with a finished basement. Nothing has been changed except for the fact that creating an in-law apartment in the already finished basement would provide for an adult child to live at home while at the same time having her own area to be independent and help financially by paying rent.
Aye, please, the question in writing.
Owing to the special conditions identified above, please indicate how the proposed use is a reasonable one. Explain how the special conditions of the property and the zoning restriction interferes with the reasonable use of the property. The proposed use of an in-law apartment is reasonable use and permitted. However, the only item that does not meet the in-law rule is the amount of square footage, but that was done back in 1988 when it was first built and finished.
Okay, and the next one, owing to the special conditions identified above. Right below it on B.
If the criteria in subparagraph A are not established, an unnecessary hardship will be deemed to exist if, and only if, owing to specific conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area. The property cannot be reasonably used in strict conformance with the ordinance, and a variance is therefore necessary to enable the reasonable use of it. The definition of unnecessary hardship set forth in subparagraph 5 shall apply whether the provision of the ordinance from which a variance is sought is a restriction on use, a dimensional or other limitation on a permitted use, or any other requirement of the ordinance.
B,
Please describe the special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area. The special condition in this fact is the house was 1988 with a finished basement. The basement is finished and is too big to comply with the 750 square feet to be a compliant in-law apartment. So a variance is necessary to allow the existing finished basement have a kitchen installed to allow the adult daughter to live on her own in the basement.
next.
Owing to the special conditions identified above, please indicate how the property cannot be reasonably used in a strict conformance with the ordinance, and a variance is therefore necessary to enable a reasonable use of it. In order to be in strict conformance of the 700 square feet for an in-law apartment, some of the finished basement would have to be removed, renovated, which would incur additional costs.
Okay. Any questions of the applicant before we go forwards? Being none, oops,
Just one quick question. I apologize, I haven't gotten all the numbers here. Talking about the 750 square feet, how many square feet do you have above that?
Yeah, I just was
That's
doing the
nine.
math too.
You mean the first floor?
how much now?
The ADU should be 750. You're asking for a variance because it's more, but
Wait a
I
minute.
haven't found.
Naomi,
I think when we talked about it, I think it's 936 square feet.
That's what I want to know the number.
Yeah, and that's why I
Oh.
talked yesterday, and that we didn't include that in the application.
So, yeah, I don't know.
I thought I did read it somewhere.
What's this area at the bottom of the stairs or to the left side here? It says, it's hard to read on the,
Mike,
would you go?
Can I see, take a look at it?
yeah. It's hard to read what that area is. It doesn't look finished.
This is utility room.
All this is not
that.
finished. So it won't be used as an ADU technically, it's storage or what have you, like a normal basement. So, it may even be a little less than that. Cause then there's the, it's close to, it's not much over 750 is what I see.
It says he only has 419.
That's the way the assessor does. Wow, we all set?
Yeah,
Okay, have a seat, please. Sure. This point, approving abutters wish to speak? I see none. Disapproving abutters wish to speak? I see none. Public at large on the boards? I see none. Mr. Benson, you want to speak anymore?
No, I think I've had
Okay, thank you. Approving abutters, disapproving abutters, public at large on the boards? I see none. This point, I'm gonna shut down the public hearing on the variance. Okay. Let's do this. So could I have a motion to accept prong one of the variance?
move to accept prong one.
Thank you. Second?
And that,
Second? Thank you. And, any discussion? Again, I think this is an issue of an existing, finished basement. And he did come before the town and said he wanted to put in a kitchen. Then they figured out after the fact that they really need to have a special exception for an ADU. Then they discovered it's over 750 feet. So that's why we're here today, so. I don't see a problem with this. I think it would be an injustice to have him rip up a piece of the basement just to make it fit the 750.
Yeah,
I agree.
yep.
Agreed.
Okay, all those in favor? Mark?
Aye.
Jack? Aye. Bobby?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Malcolm?
Malcolm, aye.
Thank you.
Move to accept prong two?
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Prong two is spirit of the ordinance. Well, it is a ADU, It's just larger than what we, allow for an ADU in our zoning. So at this point, again, we go back down to the issue of, it's an existing finished-off basement, and I think it'd be terrible to have the guy rip up pieces just to make it fit this particular piece.
Yeah, he's not far over the
No.
limit, and, seems procedural because he's doing the proper manner, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, all in favor? Mark?
Aye.
Bobby?
Aye.
Jack? Aye.
Aye.
Malcolm?
Aye.
Thank you. 3, please.
Move to accept prong 3.
Second.
You got it.
Thank you. Discussion. I think substantial justice in this regard is what I said before. Not ripping this up for the sake of meeting a 750-foot ADU requirement.
Well, I like how he's being compliant. So, he's good.
Any other discussion? Vote, Mark?
Aye.
Jack? Aye. Bobby?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Malcolm?
Aye.
Okay, 4, please.
Move to accept prong 4.
Second that.
Discussion on this one. It's not gonna diminish any of their properties. These are all existing properties, and I don't see that being an issue at all.
Yeah, agreed. No
Agreed.
changes to the exterior. No one will even know.
Voting, Mark?
Aye.
Bobby?
Aye.
Jack? Aye.
Aye.
Malcolm?
Aye.
Move to accept 5 in its entirety.
Thank you.
Second that.
Thank you. Again, it comes down to a hardship. It'll be, I guess on this one here regarding distinguish from other properties, I think this property is an ADU and approved by the town. It's different in the fact that this is already an established cellar that's already been finished off, and they did come forwards with applications for the plumbing as such. So I think this would, I don't have any problem with this one, this section. And also owing to the special conditions again, already built up, and then owing to the special condition above it, they're gonna have, it's a reasonable one. Principally because it would require him just to go off and rip up to make it 750 feet,
Exactly.
so.
Yep.
Ready?
Yep.
Mark?
Aye.
Bobby?
Aye.
Jack, aye. Mike?
Aye.
No.
Aye.
Okay. Now,
Half done.
we're gonna go to the special,
Hang on, wait. Back up, you gotta read them all.
we're gonna go to the special exception now. And you may have to come and talk to us here for a bit. Let's go down through, read number 1 question and read your answer.
The specific site is an appropriate location for such a use or uses in terms of overall community development. The site meets requirements as described in Article 19, Section 10, Units 1 through 8, where ADUs are allowed.
2?
The proposed use will not adversely affect the neighborhood and shall produce no significant reduction of real estate values in the neighborhood area, in the neighboring area. The proposed will not affect the neighborhood. There will be only one more person living in the neighborhood with one extra car parked in the driveway.
4?
4?
Oh,
Okay.
3.
3.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The proposed use will not be a nuisance or serious hazard to vehicular traffic or pedestrians. There will only be one additional vehicle in the neighborhood. The proposed use will not cause an undue burden on the town through the provisions of basic town service. Only one additional person will be residing at the property. There will be no changes to the outside of the property. Adequate off-street parking be provided if determined necessary by the zoning board of adjustment. There is currently adequate space to park extra vehicles in the driveway. A buffer may be required to screen neighboring uses from the proposed use. Buffers may be fence screens, dense plantation of suitable trees and shrubbery, or natural occurring shrubs and trees. No buffers should be needed. The changes to the property would be the inside of the existing home. 7, the zoning board of adjustments in granting any special exception may include such restrictions or conditions to ensure compliance with this section. The proposed changes conform to Article 19 of the zoning ADU laws.
Okay, at this point, we've got to make sure you meet 19-110-1, so, you wanna read them out?
Sure. Do this again. Accessory dwelling unit shall be clearly incidental to the primary use of the property for single dwelling, and such accessory living space shall not exceed 750 feet and will not contain more than 2 bedrooms with maximum occupancy per bedroom of not more than 2 persons per bedroom. We were just granted a variance for the 750 feet, so I would say we've met that. And the accessory dwelling unit shall either be constructed within or attached to the single dwelling. You indicated it's in the basement. At least one interior connecting door or other access for persons to pass between.
Is your stairs lead up to the upstairs?
Correct.
Okay.
Septic system design capacity will be approved by the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services.
As far as I'm aware, yeah.
Okay.
No new entrance or exit to the accessory dwelling unit shall be constructed facing the front of the single-family dwelling.
How do you access the ADU without going through the main house?
There's an existing back door.
Thank you.
Very good. 2 parking spaces shall be provided for accessory dwelling unit, and no new curb cut from the street shall be constructed.
Correct.
Correct. Exterior construction material shall be uniform with a single dwelling. No new,
It's all internal.
very good. And either the accessory dwelling unit or the principal dwelling unit shall be the principal residence and legal domicile of the owner of the property.
That
You'll
will be me.
continue to live there. Very good.
Very good. Have a seat, please. Any questions of the applicant?
No, sir.
Moving on, approving of butters. I see none. Disapproving of butters, wish to speak. I see none. Public at large, other boards, I don't see it. I suspect you don't want to speak anymore? Okay. Approving of butters, disapproving of butters, other boards, public at large, there are none. So at this point, we'll take a vote on this special exception. Okay, could I have a motion?
Move to accept special exception. I guess it's the same case, 07/2023.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion.
Do we need
No.
any conditions because the variance exceeds 750? or
That's
anything?
already taken care of.
Okay, just checking.
So, the only thing I would say is, low-income housing in the state of New Hampshire is hard to come by. And this does afford, people the opportunity to provide that.
Absolutely. Any housing is tough to find right now.
Yep.
Absolutely.
At this point, we'll take the vote. Mark?
Aye.
Bobby?
Aye.
Jack, aye. Mike?
Aye.
No. You're done. Well, you're maybe not finished, but you're done here. Have a good evening. Okay, we have, coming down to number 8. This is a variance for building on a private road, on Branch Road. It's Sue Halley, is it Hawley? Hawley. Okay, make sure I get it right. And Glenn Hurlbut. 127 Branch Road, lot 106, tax map 106, lot 9, residential zone. Plan to build a proposed 2-bedroom, 2.5-bath, single-family home, 50 by 32 with 3-car garage, 32 by 24. Proposed build is within the required setbacks for the town. There is an application. Filled out. There is, butters, a deed. There is a, Lake Horace Estates that shows it. Outline, Branch Road, a tax map. Looks like a property sheet. A Meridian Builders, this is the draft for Meridian of the lot 106-9. There's the artist rendition of the building. Various views and a proposed floor plan. Okay, this point, request, motion to accept the application.
Move to accept, application for case number 082023.
Thank you. Second?
I second.
Thank you. Discussion.
Just reading through real quick, prong 5, the responses were fairly brief, and I was questioning whether they were complete. I don't know if we want to take that as a complete application, or if
You have a choice.
yeah.
You could either ask this be continued for a month, and because no special condition exists, which means you don't meet the variance criteria. So, or if you wish to try to, like we did the first guy. You want an opportunity? Okay. Why don't we do that then? Okay, so.
Absolutely.
Wish to go forwards?
Absolutely.
Very good. This point, accept it. Mark?
Aye.
Bobby?
Aye.
Jack, aye? Mark?
Aye.
Malcolm?
Aye.
5-0. Okay. Again, this is a class, excuse me, it's a private road, branch road. You already live on it? Right, so you just,
So I currently live in the home, sorry. I currently live at 127 Branch Road with my adult millennial children. And just recently engaged, and we're looking to build a retirement home and wanted to kind of stay close to family and keep us all kind of together.
okay, very good. Alrighty, let's see here. So why don't you take us through your page here, your 5 points of hardship.
Okay.
Read, and if you want to add to any, feel free.
Okay, so just after speaking with some family members and watching some YouTube videos of this, I realized that I had not filled that out correctly. So I did make some changes, and hopefully I can
Okay.
verbally correct
Do
it.
you have it in writing? You could hand it to,
Yeah, scribble.
wow, maybe if we do this
Just to add as a record.
for the record, whatever.
Okay.
Naomi is the poor person that's gonna have to make sense out of this
Well, it's
meeting.
legible.
Okay, that'll be good.
Okay.
Number one, please. Question?
The variance will not be contrary to public interest. The proposed single-family residence is to be built on a road that already exists and has existing homes in the neighborhood. The home to be built will add value to the abutters' properties. I currently own the home at 127 Branch Road and will be building my retirement home 2 lots down while my adult children reside in my current home.
Okay, 2, please.
Please describe how the spirit of the ordinance is observed. The home will be built as same or similar to other homes in the vicinity. The home will allow our family to stay close and allow my adult children to afford their own housing, granting them their own independence.
Okay. 3, please.
Please describe how substantial justice is done. The home will be built adding value to other homes on the road. It will not add harm to the general public or neighboring homes. The benefit to the applicant is that we will have our own home for retirement. My children will have affordable housing. No harm will be done to the general public, as the same number of family members will be residing in the home.
Thank you for.
Please describe how the values surrounding properties are not diminished. The home to be built will be valued at $600,000 to $700,000 and will only add value to neighboring properties. The home will be set back from the road and will be a high-end lake house.
Okay, 5, please.
Okay, so on 5, this is what I've changed up. Literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship. The hardship is that the road is a non-town maintained Class 6 road and that I cannot build on it without a variance. The invested funds to purchase, the plot plans, the architecture fees, and so forth would be non-recoverable.
Okay, I, please.
Owning to the special conditions identified above, please indicate how no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purposes of the ordinance and the specific application of the provisions to the property. I'm willing to take any necessary steps that the board deems reasonable to accommodate life and safety issues, being that this is on a Class 6 road.
Okay, and I.
Owning the special conditions identified above, please indicate how the proposed use is a reasonable one. I would need the variance so that we would be able to build on the property.
Okay. Any questions of the applicant before I do the whirl around? Oh, you could have a seat, please. Approving abutters wish to speak on the application? I see none. Public at large? Wish to speak? I see none. Other boards? See none. Would you wish to expound on anything?
The only thing that I wanted,
Nobody can hear you when you talk.
yeah, I mean, I kind of touched on it before. I love my community and I love the neighborhood that we're in, and my home with 3 millennials and the cost to rent and the cost to purchase their own home is probably going to be out there a little while for them so that they can save. And this land came up for sale, and it was a great opportunity for us to hopefully build our retirement home and stay close to family and offer them the independence that hopefully this will happen.
How many other lots are developed on that?
There's a lot of houses down there.
Oh, I know, but like, is it
It's,
that whole row open?
no,
I mean-
go to
No.
tax.
Well, every other lot, or is?
No, I mean, I
heavily
think there's
done.
one, my lot's an open lot, and,
So, yeah, so that's what I thought, yeah.
yeah.
I think on the tax map. Did we get
I
a
didn't
tax
see
map?
anywhere,
It's in there, but it doesn't.
Yeah, unfortunately,
it doesn't show
this is
the,
the eye chart. If it was the real one we had, we'd be able to see dots on it.
I mean, there's
so there might be 2 or 3 vacant lots, if that,
potentially, if that, yeah.
yeah, that's what I thought,
And if
yeah,
there are, I don't know where they're at.
sure. Right. Yep, just wanted to make sure I was oriented right.
Okay, have a seat, please. Public at large, excuse me, other boards, approving, disapproving, abutters wish to speak, being none. I'm gonna close down the public meeting at
8:29.
8:29. Motion for the first prong to accept.
Move to accept prong 1.
Second that.
Thank you. Discussion. We put conditions on that people have to meet. Should we approve this variance? And I'll read them off. I'll get this for you, Naomi, afterwards. The following are minimum conditions and requirements for the variance approval of a residence on a private road. Town of Weare zoning ordinance 1711. Condition 1, the applicant shall be required to post the necessary signs at the transition of a Class 5 to private road, in accordance with the town of Ware sign ordinance policy and be consistent with New Hampshire RSA 674-41 I, C, and it would be, D. And it will be private roads. Required sign wording policy is as follows. This road has not been accepted by the town of Ware, or it consists of a Class 6 private road which the town has no duty to maintain. The town assumes no responsibility for maintenance, including snow removal, any liability resulting from the use of the street. RSA 674-41. Condition 2, the applicant shall be required to complete a town of Ware liability disclaimer and file a liability disclaimer at the Hillsborough County Registry of Deeds to be consistent with the Hampshire RSA 674-41 D. Number 3, the applicant shall take the necessary actions to be in practical compliance with the town of Ware Planning Board subdivision regulations for driveway permit requirements and the town of Ware zoning ordinance Article 36. The town of Ware Public Works Director shall be the authority for implementing the practical implementation of this requirement condition. And number 4, the applicant shall be required to take the necessary signage to comply with the E911 signage requirements for proper residence location, identification, to support emergency vehicles, life and safety responses. Okay?
So, yeah,
Okay,
considering all that, aye.
thank you. Bobby?
Aye.
Jack, aye.
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 Mark, 5-0.
Move to accept prong 2.
Thank you.
Second?
Let me get it here. Discussion, hang on, wait a second. I think the spirit of the ordinance is, this is a residential zone, and what they don't have is a Class 5 road which accesses the property. They need the appropriate frontage. That being the case, 1711 says no building. The principal reasons for that is life and safety, making sure that we have appropriate life and safety access, and any issues that will be determined will be repaired by the applicant in order to use that residence.
Yep.
Any other?
No.
Agreed.
Okay,
Aye.
Bobby?
Aye.
Thank you. Jack, aye.
Mike, aye.
And Mel?
Aye.
Okay,
Move to accept prong 3.
Second.
very good. Substantial justice, certainly to the applicant, outweighs, I believe, the issue to the general public. If these requirements are met, the issue to the general public is making sure we have reasonable access adequate access for life and safety. With these conditions, both for identification and for updating the road in any spots deemed to be substandard for that purpose, will be done.
Yeah, and it's a lot that was meant to have a house.
Reasonable use.
Absolutely.
Aye.
Bobby?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Malcolm?
Aye.
5-0. 4, please.
Move to accept 4.
Second that?
I can't believe putting a house up, especially one with as many square feet, which probably works out to $600,000 to $700,000, is gonna be diminishing anybody's properties around it.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Agreed.
Any other comments?
No.
Mark?
Mark, aye.
Bobby?
Aye.
Jack, aye.
Aye.
Mike? Malcolm?
Aye.
5-0. 5 is entirety.
Move to accept prong 5 in its entirety.
Second.
Again, here, it gets into the issue of special conditions That being the road is an issue. That'll be alleviated by these requirements we placed on it in the first prong. As far as owing to the special conditions, indicate fair stance of relationship between the general purpose of the ordinance and specific application of the provisions of the property. Again, the general purpose of the ordinance is to assure that we have life and safety access to all properties. And I believe this helps that. And owing to the special condition identified above, please identify how the proposed use, reasonable one. Again, this is it isn't a commercial enterprise going there. It's a residence, which it is a residential property, so with that said.
I'd say it conforms with the use of the road. It's not an empty road.
With the abutters. Prima
Absolutely.
facie of all the existing building that's been done on that road over the years.
Exactly. Agreed.
Yep.
Okay,
Mark, aye.
Bobby.
Aye.
Jack, aye.
Mike, aye.
Malcolm.
Aye.
Go.
That's it.
Very welcome.
You don't want me leaving with this?
Who's gonna want one?
Okay, we have an extension. The extension is for case number 10, 2021, 185 Bot Clough Road, tax map 409, lot 20. And this is the strata that's on Clough Bat Road. Requesting an extension. Motion to extend this.
Move to grant an extension for case number 10-2021.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? None of those favor, Mark?
Mark, aye.
Bobby, aye.
Jack, aye.
Mike, aye.
Malcolm?
Aye.
Thank you.
Left
5-0.
the room, what did you say?
Yay.
You have an A and a B for that one, though.
Pardon?
You have an A and a B for that extension.
What do you mean, the same
Oh,
one?
case A and case
So
B.
there's a case A and a case B.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Move to accept both A and B.
Yes.
That would, and I
You
would.
want to modify your,
No, I would say that my vote included both.
perfect.
Me too.
Me too, aye.
Yes, because I read it off as the general case.
Right.
Right. We're covered. Do we have minutes? Is that a no? Good. I guess we're done.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
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 Unanimous. 5-0.